Alright, let's get to it, punished Apollo. Details of the case! Let me go ahead and check the last entry. Probably, the only thing that we need to do is just pretty much press to get more information. It's like he's trying to give us as little information as possible. Is he? Maybe Prosecutor Blackwell's got his tongue. Well, don't let that hold you back. Keep pressing until we get what we need. Yeah, pretty much. As per usual, we're gonna have to press for information. Boom, boom. How powerful were the explosions? I mean, to set up... Powerful enough to set up a fire. Actually, it doesn't need... Like, you don't need to... Fire can start from, like... from the smallest whimpers, so... like... Or his smallest cracks. And the cracks? Crackles? Sparks? Well, I guess sparks. From the smallest sparks. Well, the one in the main building wasn't strong enough to bring the place down. But the room... But the room, it... But the room... It... I think they mean where the room that the bomb was went... the room... No, I guess no. That's actually perfectly fine. But the room it went off in was burned black. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. Burned black. Due in large part, of course, to me stepping up to lead the evacuation. You were there? Wait, what were you doing there in the first place, Detective Fulbright? Ha! I'm Bobby Fulbright, hero of justice. I'll be there wherever and whenever people need my help. I'd go to the other side of the world, or even the edge of the universe. I'm not sure he knows how far that actually is. It doesn't exist. Oh, well, I guess it's... Isn't the idea is that the universe is expanding rapidly? It's just a theory, though. But I guess I'll leave that one alone. Really? You're gonna leave that alone? Isn't it important? Admirable decision, Justice Dono. Huh? What did he decide? Anyway, could you describe what it was like at the Space Center at the time? The bomb cut the power to the central bank of elevators and the third-floor lounge. Oh, seems like it's actually planned then. That was the main idea, maybe? Maybe that was the main idea? It was pitch black in there, I tell you. So he's gonna serve as an eyewitness to whatever happened there. However, the security cameras and whatnot were running on emergency backup. Huh. I wonder if you can actually do that. Realistically, I mean. I mean, you can, technically. But I don't think a lot of institutions actually rely on, like, tunnel emergency... emergency... powers to actually, to keep the cameras recording. Maybe in high security institutions like prisons and, I don't know, military institutions probably. And how did the evacuation go? I immediately and heroically whisked people down to the Space Center's basement shelter. Why not just lead them outside? The basement shelter? Yes, there's an emergency shelter beneath the Space Center. An emergency shelter, huh? Oh, here it is. It's at the bottom of the diagram. I would lead people outside, but whatever. In case of fire? Why do you still keep them inside? The Space Center's pretty impressive to have its own shelter. Evacuation report added to the court record. The bombs went off despite tight security. Police officers and riot police who had been standing by gave the evacuation instructions. Let me take a look there again. I don't think we need to check this, right? Yeah. No extra details here. Police officers and riot police gave evacuation instructions immediately. There was a power outage and the affected areas remained dark. The security system switched over to emergency power and continued to work. Evacuees moved to the basement shelter. Interesting. The power outage and the evacuation seem unrelated to the murder at this point. Is that the case, though? I guess I'll leave that aside for now. So there were 2 explosions in total, correct? Yep, that's right. One on the second floor of the Space Center's main building, and one in Launch Pad 1. Let me get this straight. Mr. Starbuck rigged the rocket he was going to board with explosives? Huh? What are you talking about? If the defendant really did plant the bomb on his own rocket, he'd get caught in the explosion as well. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Really? Fine. A simpleton for a simpleton. Fooled right. The motive. Understood? The defendant actually had astrophobia. What? The fear of flying? Isn't that it? The fear of space. No, it's the fear. I guess it's astrophobia. Has something to do with space, but I thought, what's the one with the what's the phobia about someone not necessarily being afraid of planes, like he's like people that are afraid of riding any kind of plane, not necessarily like planes, even a helicopter, even an elevator that goes really up the sky. People have this kind of phobia. There is a name for it. A fear of space. Naturally, just the thought of space can cause the affected to freeze up. How is he an astronaut then? And so, in his terror, the defendant found a way to stop the launch at the last minute. That's absurd. Unfortunately for you, we have evidence. Take a look at these. What the hell? These are drugs? What are they? These anti-anxiety tablets were found among the defendant's possessions. Apparently, he was taking them in secret to quell his fears. There were a multitude of problems with the rocket Mr. Starbuck wrote 7 years ago. Rumor has it, it threatened to crash a number of times as well. Whoa. That was, of course, very traumatic for Mr. Starbuck.
Objection!
But that doesn't mean he'd go so far to blow up his own ship.
Silence.
Then why would he plant the other bomb then? The defendant couldn't bear to mar his good name. Now could he? No, not after the media had branded him Soul Starbuck, Space Pioneer Extraordinaire. Given these conditions, the defendant could hardly run away like some base mutt. What? So that's why you think he resorted to the bombing? Naturally. He constructed this act of sabotage in an attempt to blow up the Space Center, which would effectively abort the launch, but spare his reputation. Ugh. Now, I'm sure you understand why we have to bring justice down on this atrocious criminal. Thankfully, only the two astronauts were in Launchpad 1 at the time.
Hold it.
Do we know that for certain? Are you sure it was only the two of them? It was just before the spaceship was set to launch. So of course, it was only those two. Well, there could have been somebody else inside that rocket.
Silence.
The notion of a third party in Launchpad 1 is utterly absurd. Just to enter the area from the lounge, one must pass through a door guarded by a fingerprint recognition device. And allow me to state up front that there are precious few with a clearance to do so. A fingerprint recognition device? It sounds as futuristic and complex as a space center. When did the game come out? 2013? 2013? No, I think in 2013 people started actually applying fingerprints. People definitely started to apply fingerprints, login. Even a decade ago, so, So, I don't know. I don't think it's actually that futuristic. Actually, it's not as amazing as you think, Your Honor. Take a look at this photo. Well, a full handprint is something that's definitely different, for sure. But you know what? It's actually not as good, especially when in terms of clearance, because I think card is definitely better. Well, it's I guess something like that is important to actually, like, you don't want someone else to take your card and have access to it. Because fingerprints are like a handprint is definitely something more secure if you want someone, and only that someone, to have access to that. Because, you know, you cannot go there unless you cut someone's hand and use it, I guess. This is the door in the lounge with the fingerprint lock. Only personnel whose fingerprints are registered can pass through. I see. That is very different from what I had in mind. What did you have in mind? And is there a record of the number of people that passed through the door yesterday? That's gonna be interesting. Yes, there were only 3. The defendant, the victim, and the director of the Space Center, Yuri Cosmos. He's the killer. He's the killer. He's the killer. That's it, he's the killer. Then doesn't that mean it's possible that the director is the one who did it? I mean, no, unless he has an alibi. Not a chance. He was in the main building when the bomb exploded at 9:28. Were they timed then? Were they time bombs? Doing his job directing the launch. Besides having an alibi, he has no motive for committing these senseless acts. He has a point. I guess the director can't be considered a suspect then. I mean, why not? He has access. Not necessarily a main suspect, but a suspect nonetheless. When did he log in though? When was the time? Launchpad, a one-door lock added to the court record. A biometric door lock operated by fingerprint recognition. Biometric, that's a cool word. Only the defendant, the victim, and the Space Center director had access. Only these three had access? Or they actually used that? The two of them managed to make it back as far as the boarding lounge. I mean, there is a way for you to open the door for someone else, right? Yeah, like you can actually open the door for multiple people. Well, you only need the one to have a fingerprint, so... Maybe, one of these three, or the other two, actually opened the door to multiple people? Well, I guess we're gonna have to find out if the camera actually managed to record people getting in and out at the time. The two of them managed to make it back as far as the boarding lounge. So, while it would appear that the pair barely escaped with their lives, in actuality, one of them had already been murdered inside the rocket. Inside the rocket? I don't think that was the case. I think... This actually doesn't say it where he died. It only says where he was discovered. He was discovered in the boarding lounge. Over here, so I don't think that was the case. Huh. From the cutscene, it might look like the one that was dragging the other was Clay dragging Saul. I think that would be believable. That's the angle the prosecution wants to push, correct? You got it. In fact, that's what I've been trying to say this whole time. If the victim had been alive, he would have for sure tried to stop the bombing. I don't think that has anything to do with that. Because they're trying to say that Clay knew about the bombs. Is there any chance Mr. Turn could have been killed before he boarded the rocket? They were both alive and well at boarding time, and embarked under their own power. Their hearts full of hope and dreams of space. And then both of their hopes and dreams were dashed. If I may continue my explanation, after the evacuation order was given, the defendant made his escape, carrying the victim to make it look like a rescue. But after the escape, one of the two was found stabbed to death. And who was the first to find the victim? Actually, there were two of them. The Space Center director, uh-oh, Yuri Cosmos. And Candace Arm is back, viewers. So this is actually... was before... So that was before, Juniper's, yeah, that was before Juniper's, trial. So when did Apollo... When did Apollo get his injury, though? And why? And how? How? That's the most important question. How? Detective Candace Arm. One of them was a detective. Yep, Detective Arm specializes in bombings, you see. She and the director were ordering the evacuation following the explosions. They were also worried about the astronauts, so they hurried over to the boarding lounge. That's when they discovered the victim, along with the defendant. 2 witnesses, huh? And one of them is a detective. I doubt either one would have anything to say that would help me. I think that pretty much covers the details of the case. Yeah, I guess that's it for the cross-examination, huh? Only the victim and the defendant were on the launch pad when the former was killed. If this is the truth, then only Mr. Starbuck could have carried out this crime. What little I could get out of him only hurt my case. Justice Dono, foolish, is the warrior who rushes headlong into battle. Preparation is an essential element of battle, so I advise you to take a gander at this. Is that a CD or a DVD? Oh, what is it? Footage from a security camera. As the 2 astronauts emerged from the bowels of the launch pad 1 corridor. Where is the camera? 50. What is that, the remaining oxygen? The boarding lounge security camera captured their desperate escape. Handprint? Does it actually say the name? Of who? Did that... Can someone open the door from the inside? Do you actually have to use your handprint? I really wonder. Now I would direct your attention to what the defendant is shouldering, which you can see is none other than the lifeless body of the victim. We don't know that, though. I don't see any knives stabbed in the heart. What? Order! Order, I say! This lines up exactly with what the prosecution has been asserting. I should have known Black Hole would have something like this ready. Security camera video added to the court record. This is actually a video. Video showing the defendant and victim's escape from the corridor to the boarding lounge. Shut up, Athena. Let me take a look at this. We're gonna get an entry for a Candace Arm, a detective who specialized in bomb cases. Was on detail? Was on detail? What does that even mean? Was on detail? Was on detail at the Space Center one of the first to find the body. We still don't have an entry for the director. For some reason. No, we don't have a video, just like a picture. I guess that's the important one. Apollo? How exactly did they determine that Clay was already gone in that footage? Yep. Ah, I see what you mean. Whether Clay was still alive at that point is pretty crucial. Is it? Probably. Your Honor, please take another look at the footage. Isn't it possible that Mr. Turin was still alive here and that Mr. Starbuck was helping him? Yeah, I'm gonna predict that it's the other way around. For no reason, really. But there is a possibility. Why, I believe you're right. One man carrying the other to safety. What a beautiful expression of friendship. Before you stab him to the heart.
Silence.
Shut up. Perhaps that's what it looks like at a one-eyed, hot-headed, and a dotard. What the hell is a dotard? I don't know what the hell is a dotard. But it only makes sense if it's the victim's dead body. What do you mean? Fulbright, explain it to Justice Dono. You got it. Ready, kid? If the murder had occurred in the lounge, someone could have spotted it. Anyone can enter the lounge, after all. So the door is actually here. That's the door that actually leads to the lounge pad. So it's not the door that's actually gonna be somewhere here. So anyone have entrance to the lounge. Interesting. Anyone can enter the lounge, after all. But doing it while they were alone in the spaceship? That's a horse of a different color.
Objection.
But you can't deny that there's a possibility the murder could have happened in the lounge. All that video shows is a man helping his fellow astronaut out.
Silence.
Your assertion is based on emotion. It's based in your belief that Mr. Starbuck would surely help his own disciple. But you have no logical explanation as to why the victim could still be alive. Yeah, let's have a nice day. Correct your grammatical errors. That's the highest. That's the I guess lowest humiliation. The biggest humiliation that you can get. Irk. Yep, irk. Unfortunately, Mr. Justice, the prosecution is right. Your argument is lacking in sound logic. I don't think so. It doesn't show that Clay is dead here. It doesn't show that those guys are Clay and Saul. But it sounded perfectly logical to me. Well, Mr. Justice, if you have no further objections, I believe it's time to bring this cross-examination to a close. Objections? Well, Bling! Your Honor, the defense requests a little time to think and regroup. I mean, can you ask for something like that? Silence! Given the facts, I'm not sure I see the need. I'm not sure I see the need. Read that a little bit wrong. Oh, what is it, Athena? It's just, There's something that's been bothering me. If it isn't the defense stalling for time, as always. Very well. I'm feeling generous. You may have a small measure of time. Yes! You have 5 seconds. 5 seconds? After that, I declare this cross-examination to be closed, and a verdict to be rendered. Your boldness! Raise your gavel high. It's time for a countdown. Oh! Ready? Why did he drop the gavel? Why did he actually hit the gavel? We still don't have any time. We don't have time. Spit it out, Athena. Only 3 more seconds. Look! I don't think the prosecution's explanation is very complete. Meaning? Meaning there's something missing. Like they conveniently left it unexplained. Something they didn't explain. Something they didn't explain. The time of death? Probably. Ah, you're right. I think I know what you're talking about. Your 5 seconds are up, Mr. Justice. Is there anything about the prosecution's argument that you'd like to rebut? Or rebut? Yes, Your Honor. Actually, there is. There is something the prosecution has yet to make clear to this court. Well, if you put it that way, what is it that the prosecution has failed to explain? Why the body was moved? The motive for murder? I mean, the motive could be anything. Why the body was moved? They failed to explain why Mr. Starbuck would bother bringing the body back at all. If the defendant, because yeah, they are claiming that he was dead before he exits the corridor, or what did they call it? Yeah, the launchpad corridor. If the defendant wanted to kill the victim, why didn't he just leave his body in the rocket? Why go through the trouble to bringing him all the way back to the boarding lounge? Oh, that's true. I don't think we've heard the prosecution's thoughts on that yet. That's because they have none, Your Honor. After all, how does one explain something so illogical? He does have an explanation. The prosecution is claiming that the defendant moved the victim's dead body. I think the time of death is important too. But what if the entire premise of that argument is wrong? Then let's hear your theory, Mr. Justice. The defense proposes that the defendant didn't kill the victim. He was helping him. Fulbright, explain it for our sad friend here before I nod off to his monotone monologue. Inform him exactly why Spaceboy moved the victim. Huh? They've got to be joking. It's simple. Mr. Starbuck did what he did to direct suspicion away from himself. He wanted to create the impression he heroically risked his life to save his partner. That's why he made sure to make it to the security camera so there'd be a record. At the very least, he appears to have achieved success with you and the old man. One man carrying the other to safety. What a beautiful expression of friendship. The average person wearing a spacesuit weighs easily over 200 pounds. What's that in kilograms? Like a little bit less, than 100 kilograms, I guess. Saving the life of a partner who weighs as much while trying to escape deadly flames. What a dramatic sob story fit for the silver screen. Indeed, I was completely taken in by the humanity of the story. You see, yet the true ending is that all traces of his hammy act were meant to be blown up. Yes, and now we arrive at the thrilling conclusion. The third explosion. What the? There's a third explosion?
Objection!
What are you talking about? There was no third explosion. Oh no. There was no third explosion, but there was a third bomb. And it's in there, right?
Silence.
Arrogant jerk. Indeed, you are correct. But that is thanks to Detective Arm. It was she who identified and secured the bomb. However, it doesn't change the fact that the third bomb was discovered in the lounge. The steel coffin beside the witness stand, that would be a bomb transport case. He used that to transport the deactivated bomb. We used that to transport the deactivated bomb here. It was found in the lounge. A bomb in the form of a most distasteful toy. Ah, son of a bitch! This thing is back. What? Distasteful. I think that was wrong. Distasteful. 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 It's tastes. So, is there a typo here? What? One on the second floor of the main building. One on the launch pad and one in the lounge. Everyone could have landed that. Actually, not a lot of people could manage to plant all of these. The defendant planned to set off 3 firework displays. Fortunately, the third was discovered before it could be detonated. For had it not, the victim's body and other vital evidence would surely have been immolated. No objections? No objections allowed. Before you utter a word, know that the evidence supports me. It's like he's reading my mind. As it's still undergoing a forensic investigation, I do not have the evidence on hand. However, know that a peculiar item was found in one of Mr. Starbuck's pockets. A detonator? Son of a bitch. Specifically, a bomb detonation switch. You found what? I suspect the defendant had no time to destroy such damning evidence. when the Space Center director and Detective Arms stumbled across the murder. So he thought to hide it in his pocket. Feeble-brained that he is. No! Mr. Starbuck would never do anything like that. Uh-oh. No evidence. What the hell? Justice Dono! Open your eyes and see the truth. Well, he can't open both his eyes. This appears to be irrefutable evidence that the accused set off the explosions. No, there has to be some kind of mistake. This can't be the truth. Still can't accept it. You'll believe in your client. Come what may. Then why don't you cross-examine the defendant himself? This has got to be a trap. It's like Black was controlling the entire game. Yeah. It seems like he was... Are you telling me that I'm as cool as Blackwell? Holy. I'm controlling the game. I'm as cool as Blackwell. Yeah, it seemed like he was waiting for me to bring up the body-moving issue. Well, that sucks. Why do you say that? Because he had just the right argument when I pointed it out. And to really rub it in, he had a decisive piece of evidence up his sleeve too. He was trying to shake my faith in Mr. Starbuck and break me down. Then making you cross-examine Mr. Starbuck at this point was part of his plan too? Totally underhanded, but I wouldn't expect anything less from him. Now, let us hear from the arch-villain, the fiendish murderer himself. Famed astronaut Solomon Starbuck. Larry Butts. The Larry Butts look-alike. Witness! Your name and occupation, please. Solomon Starbuck, astronaut. How did this happen? Mr. Starbuck, you aren't looking very well. Will you be able to give testimony? No. No. Oh, good thing. Yeah, I'm recording this at a very later date. It's thankfully it's a weekend and tomorrow I don't have work, but I'm really enjoying this, viewers. I'm really enjoying this game a lot. Like, this is like, I'm playing multiple games right now, and this is by far the most definitely the most fun I had out of all the games that I'm playing so far. Really enjoying it. So, why are you not continuing? Have a nice day. I'm pouring myself some something to drink. Hold on a second. Hold on. What, do you expect me to edit this section out? Oh no. Editing? Actual editing? In my playthroughs? Hell no. Alright, let's continue. Well, unfortunately, no is not an option. Isn't it Fifth Amendment too, though? Like, you cannot actually give a testimony at all? I think, yeah, you can. You can actually He can actually say no, so... It is weird that he's saying that you don't have an option. You are being accused of the Space Center bombing and the murder of Clay Terran. Please testify to these allegations. Yeah, this is gonna be annoying. Mind if I take this suit off? It's getting really heavy.
Silence.
It's not the weight of the suit that you feel, but of your sins. Prepare to carry that weight for the rest of your life. Banish me to the moon. I don't care anymore. I don't... Well, according to the prosecution, you don't even want to go up to space. Should banish you to goddamn Australia. This is what they did to... So, this is what they did back in the day. Banish the criminals to Australia. Wow, that was super negative. Is he going to be alright up there? In the moon? He'll be fine, I think. Or up the witness stand. As long as he doesn't totally give up and say he did it, that is. Well, I guess he's not gonna do that. I didn't kill him! All I did was support Clay over my shoulder and get us out of the rocket. So he did carry him out. Like always, I took the elevator down to the middle level and headed for the corridor. Clay had passed out by the time we got we got the order to evacuate. I didn't kill Clay. I was trying to save him. That didn't add much, really. So you assert you didn't set off the bombs or murder the victim? But I bet you think I'm lying, right? I reserve all judgment until after I've heard your full testimony. I'm sure you don't believe me. I bet you don't even believe I'm an astronaut. I don't think the judge doubts that. Who'd wear a suit like that except an astronaut? I mean... Can people? Is that a hint from the game? Are there other people in the surrounding area that has access to the same gadget? That would be interesting. I will say that when I saw you. I will say that when I saw you in that movie. You appeared quite courageous, though I suppose reality never quite lives up to the fantasy. That wasn't him. I guess I'm just a big disappointment. Haha. I really don't care what happens anymore. Haha. Oh no, he's completely given up. What? That's a different person altogether. What a depressing fellow. If you were to join me in the clink, I imagine that annoying sighing of yours would rub off on the other inmates. So what does that mean? Wait, does that mean that this sigh actually was coming from from the gallery, from someone in the gallery? Okay. I thought they were gonna introduce a new character here. Okay, that was funny. I like how it rubbed off on Prosecutor Blackwell a second ago. That was him? That was Blackwell sighing? Hmm.